Welcome back, Tom and D. I'm Tom. That's D. Now, my mom, when I was a kid, would make this soft-boiled eggs cut up in a dish for me for breakfast sometimes when I was a kid, and I loved it. You know, you make two soft-boiled eggs, you put toast in the oven, and then you cut up the toast into little squares, right? Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about my breakfast before we recorded this. I'm making this breakfast, and I had this craving for my mom's soft-boiled eggs cut up in a dish. So I ask Alexa. I can't say it too loud, or else she'll respond in the other room. So I ask Alexa, how to make soft-boiled eggs. More for timing, because I wasn't sure if it's 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever. I got the water boiling, and she says, soft-boiled eggs in the air fryer. I recommend and I'm like, soft-boiled eggs in the air fryer? I mean, I've heard of everything now, right? So I'm making the soft-boiled eggs in the air fryer. It says 10 minutes at 270 degrees. Well, I'm on the phone with my mom, and I said, I'm making these soft-boiled eggs in the air fryer. She's like, you're kidding me. They do that? I'm like, yeah. So I cut it open, and it's not soft-boiled. It's like I'm like, Mom, I just wasted like $10 worth of eggs. There was only two, but, made the old egg joke. And she goes, well, just, get some mayonnaise and make egg salad. And the first thing I thought was about Darren. I'm like, Darren hates mayonnaise.
And I hate eggs. Tom and D.
Two middle-aged idiots.
Everything about what you're talking about is making me lose my appetite for lunch.
Well, then good, because I have the egg salad sandwich here with me.
Oh, my God.
Finishing it. No, but it's funny because I remember once, like, I was going to make us tuna melts or something when we were watching an IU game. I go, I make great tuna melts. And you're like, I don't like mayonnaise. I'm like, dude, it's on a sandwich. I'm not asking you to put it on your hot dog, dude. I'm not asking you to eat it with a spoon.
It doesn't matter. It's disgusting. Eggs and oil should not make that. That's witchcraft.
It is witchcraft. But I'll tell you what, man. So you're saying you'll eat a BLT with like a dry BLT with like not a swipe of mayo?
Yeah, but I would just eat the LT because I don't really eat bacon either. Yeah,
oh my God, you are so boring, dude. I miss our days in college when we would go to the Trojan Horse and eat like a big gyro, like covered with tzatziki sauce.
Yeah, that was 85 years ago. I mean, come on.
You can't eat it. You won't eat a gyro when you visit me in Bloomington.
No.
Man.
I'll watch you eat the gyro.
A veggie gyro.
Okay.
Now you have a guest. I don't know who it is, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to have another bite of this amazing egg salad sandwich, which, by the way, I also put in mustard, celery, a little bit of onion, and paprika. And so,
oh my God. It just all sounds so gross.
It's so good.
All right.
My God.
I'm going to bring on our guest because I got to get my mind off of what you're talking about. And luckily for our listening audience, they can't see you eating like I can.
So good,
though. Fucking disgusting. Your mouth is open. You got shit
not.
dropping off everywhere.
No, it's not.
All right. So it's horrible. The video component that comes out a week later, people can validate this.
No, they can't.
All right. So anyway, I got to bring this guy on because I have not talked to him forever. Our kids went to the same preschool together in Los Angeles. That's how we know each other. And when we had Angelo on weeks ago, and I posted a little something about it, that's how we kind of reconnected and started talking about the show because he knows Angelo. I believe that they went to grad school together at USC. But anyway, I want to tease him up a little bit more.
Yeah, please.
Before I say his name. So he's an Emmy-winning executive producer, reality TV producer, and more. And he's possibly the only man alive to have survived multiple seasons of Survivor without ever being kicked off of the island. So he's directed many episodes of America's Most Wanted to launching shows for CBS, ABC, Fox, you name it. This man has spent his career shaping what we watch. He's also a fellow Hoosier.
Yes.
Like I said, yeah, that's how he knows.
Like him. I like him already. Is there anything else I can like about him? What's his name? Does he have a likable name?
Well, hold on. And he's from my hometown of Bloomington, Indiana. Not just being a Hoosier, but he actually grew up in the same hometown that I did. Went to the same high school just a couple years earlier.
Same high school?
The same high school.
Wow.
I believe he went to Ohio State. So he didn't go to
Boo.
IU, but at least it's a Big Ten school. Went to
Right.
Ohio State for his undergrad, and then, like I said, went to USC for his MFA, and I probably cinema or something related to that. And he's even got a PhD and making TV networks say, "Hell yeah, we'll greenlight that."
Uh-huh.
Tom Shelly, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
That was quite the
Hey.
introduction.
I was. I am going to have to. I have to hire you to write my resume for me.
And then hire me to voice over the intro.
Oh,
See,
well,
every time there's something that's said about hiring, Tom solicits himself.
Hell yeah, I do.
we can do. I'll hire you to do craft service with egg salad sandwiches. Or sorry.
now that would be good. I can make a mean
Soft-boiled egg.
one. I'd offer you a bite virtually here.
I heard you talking about air fryers. We just bought another air fryer at our house because we had one years ago, and for whatever reason we got rid of it, and we just bought a new one. And we're like, this is the greatest invention ever.
It really is. It's incredible. I mean, you can do anything. You can make soft-boiled eggs in it. Well, apparently you got to adjust the time though, because 10 minutes on 270 is too much, Alexa.
Yeah,
I
when
tried
heard
to
10
make
minutes of that. That's maybe a little much for a soft-boiled egg. But.
Yeah.
I tried to make sauce in mine the other day, and it just didn't work.
You just poured it in there.
First time using it. I should have read the instructions.
You don't make soup. You don't make sauce.
But we did not bring Tom on the show to talk about sauce and air fryers, although that's fun too. Tom, I got to know about Survivor. That show is still running, isn't it?
It's getting ready to start it's starting its 49th season. I think they're going to be shooting their 50th season here soon. So, yeah, it's been
How
on
many
25
seasons is
years.
that per year, though? That's obviously not 49
It's
years.
two. Yeah.
Two is
Two. Yeah.
Yeah.
My neighbor, Michael, has been watching the show since season one. It is like his one guilty pleasure. And he goes, I can honestly say I've watched every season of Survivor. Now, did you help create it or?
I didn't help create it, but I was on the first season. I was on the first 14 seasons of the series, about 7 years, the first 7 years of it. But a guy named Charlie Parsons, a British producer, is the one who actually came up with the format and created it. They had actually shot it as a Dutch show originally, and then CBS picked it up, and we did the American version.
No kidding. That's a lot of producing.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have some great stories that, I don't remember some of the scandals, but I do remember there's always like a scandal with every show, especially reality TV. But I'm sure you have some great stories. Is there anything kind of behind the scenes that you can share with us?
Oh, well, we shot when I was on the show, we shot a few different seasons in Panama, and twice, not once, but twice, we had bags of cocaine wash up on the beach.
No.
And, from drug traffickers. Apparently, that was a big corridor where we were shooting for the drug trafficking up, and planes, I guess, would fly over at night and drop these, giant bundles of cocaine into the ocean with floaty things on them, and then I guess boats would come and pick them up or something like that. And I guess if they lost them or if they felt they were being chased by police, they'd throw the stuff overboard. And twice we had these giant parcels, and not just, bags of cocaine wash up on our beach. So
now, what does the cast do? Because personally, myself, I would be like, how much can I win on Survivor? And how much can I bring home in my duffel bag?
Yeah, it was great. We quickly told them, no, that's not one of your luxury items. You can't touch that stuff.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a good way to help fund the show too.
Yeah.
I do have a great Survivor question for you because I've always wondered this. When you see these reality shows, whether someone's stranded on an island or whether they're going through a situation like Survivor. And here's the crew with craft services, bottled water, a nice warm place to sleep, a coat if it's raining. Is it almost kind of like in your face to these people? Or if they're really thirsty, do you say, okay, here's the bottled water?
Yeah, no, it's very funny because we had what you see on the show was, the crew never ate in front of the contestants.
That's nice of them.
However, we had a little like tent for them where they would go and eat catering away from the beach where the contestants were. And whenever the crew would walk back and start shooting again, the contestants, because they're so, deprived of food, they would smell the food on the crew and they'd be like, "What did you eat? I can smell it. I smell hamburgers."
I can't imagine. They all come back. They all come back from the tent, and these guys are on the beach, like you said, starving, hungry, thirsty. And they walk by. They go, "Oh man, that was so good! That fettuccine Alfredo!" And they grab their bellies and they burp.
I'm so full.
I gotta fast now.
That is so funny.
So, Tom, tell me about some of the other productions and shows and films, or a little bit more about your resume.
Yeah, well, like you said, I went to first I went to Ohio State to study. I got my degree in photography and cinema, and then I came out here to Los Angeles and went to USC and went to the film school out here. That's not where I met Angelo, by the way. I just met him. I happened, he was before me at USC, and I just happened to, through a mutual friend, all of us being Hoosiers, met him at one point, and have somewhat stayed in touch with him over the years. And then when I graduated from USC, I got lucky and got a job directing crime recreations for America's Most Wanted, the first season of that show.
Nice.
But yeah, I was like, so they'd send me out and I'd do these, we'd go to a city where some crime had been done. We'd have to hire actors and do these crazy little recreations and shoot them in a week and edit them and get them on the show. And
I always wonder, those poor people, those poor actors, like, who are playing these criminals, if one day they're just, at a restaurant, they go, "I recognize that guy, man. That guy murdered like 3 people." And they get on.
That actually used to happen.
I'm sure.
That used to happen. Yeah. It's like, well, I saw you on TV. You murdered that person.
I saw you. Yeah. And you got away with it too.
That's right. That actually used to happen. Yes.
Wow.
It's amazing how people conflate reality with what they see on TV. I mean, I remember it might have been the first film that I ever worked on. I was still in grad school. It was a movie being shot in Indiana, Best of the Best 3, this karate action film. And don't act like you haven't seen Best of the Best 1 and 2, but Best of the Best 3. But it had to do with, kind of rural Indiana and racism. And so we had this barn that we converted to a church. At least 2/3 of it was a church, just the camera side. And it was just the exterior of it. And the whole scene was it was going to be burnt down. So we put like a fake steeple on top of it, and painted it white and, painted rocks outside, little rose bushes. And these town folks were like coming in, and they heard that we were going to burn it down, and they were really upset about it because it was like a church. And then they're asking like, "Yeah, like, can we have the roses that you planted since you're just going to burn it down?" Like, "No, that's for camera." They couldn't wrap their head around it. And they were so angry that we were destroying these great things that they could have. And just they couldn't wrap their head around the whole process.
Oh, and people go up to actors all the time, and instead of saying, "Oh, Mr. Cranston, so nice to meet you," they're like, man, it's like they think that they're actually, that character. Well, Bryan Cranston and that character, from Breaking Bad's a bad example, but maybe someone who's on a soap opera or someone who's a doctor in a show or whatever, they think that they're a real doctor and they go up to him. "I got a little bursitis in my shoulder here."
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a great show, America's Most Wanted, to kind of launch your career. I mean, that had to have been able to really be good leverage for you for the next endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was before there was the term reality TV. It was just, it was just a show that was on, and I was also, at the time, I was doing some kind of documentary stuff, EPKs we call them, behind the scenes, electronic press kits, like the behind the scenes of movies, and I was doing a lot of that stuff, as well as doing America's Most Wanted because I was only working freelance for them, and so I kind of had my foot in this EPK documentary world and this, you know, pre-reality show kind of thing. And then I did this series, or we did the show for Discovery. A guy that I knew from America's Most Wanted was working on a show called the Eco Challenge, which was this adventure race where people, these crazy mountain climbers and rafters, and would race for 300 miles across British Columbia and go over the mountains and everything. And the guy producing it was Mark Burnett, who later then went on to do Survivor. And so when Survivor came around, he hired me for that, and that's kind of how it all kind of shook out.
But you've done some other stuff too. Didn't you do something with Braveheart and Mel Gibson?
That was my EPK day. We did, it's back when places like HBO and Showtime would do like half-hour or hour-long specials about the making of these things. And so that was through Paramount.
Like after the movie was over, before it was over, sometimes they would show it. Stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at the making of Braveheart. Right.
They were like marketing things for right before the movie came out. They would show these things on HBO and Showtime to get people interested in going to see the movie. So
did you get to meet Mel?
I did briefly. Yeah, he did an interview for us for that show.
Was it? Now this was back before he completely lost it, right?
This was way before that. Yeah, way before
that. Right. When you would want to tell people, "Hey, I met him."
Right.
Exactly.
Not like, I met Mel Gibson. It's like don't don't shoot.
All right. Oh my God. So any cool projects that you're working on now or wanting to try to get going?
It's right now doing a lot of pitching shows. It's tough in the business right now. I mean, people just aren't buying stuff, and I'm sure you guys have probably talked about this on your podcast, but it's like, the business has, strangely, even though you see so much content on streaming and everything, the buying has slowed way down. But I do have with some partners, a feature film that it looks like we're hoping is going to go, that we have in development, that we luckily have Mark Platt a part of, and Zendaya to star, and the great director Barry Jenkins has come on board to direct, and we're hoping that this will go into production sometime soon. So it's
that'd be cool.
Been in development for a while.
So what do you think about, because what really bothers me is there are so many screenwriters out there that there's probably more screenplays that are sitting on someone's desk or are sitting in someone's garbage can that are better than some of the crap we see. But when they do all these remakes, it's like, do we really, pretty soon they're going to, do a remake of something like, Airplane or something, or, why? And I'm just curious what you think about this as someone who has been successful in the business, but is also pitching ideas. When you say, well, they didn't take my original screenplay idea that we pitched you, but you're doing a remake of, some Eddie Murphy movie that stands alone by itself. You don't need to have Kevin Hart come in and do Trading Places or something.
But I'm sorry, just before you answer, I mean, it kind of makes sense from the lazy executive's perspective because it already has an audience, and there's
I don't know if the same people are going to go and see Trading Places
not the same
with Kevin
people,
Hart.
But I mean, there is a base there. Not to say it's a good idea, but it's just it's a shortcut, and maybe it's less of a gamble.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's less of a gamble. I think the industry is just playing it very safe right now. It's, people aren't taking chances on either television or scripted films the way, they used to. It's all about risk. Let's not take a risk and, go for the short-term payoff of stuff. It's like, look, it's a business strategy, but, as a movie geek, I like to see new and interesting stuff.
Did you see the docu series? Kind of, it was about the movie The Godfather, and it was the whole story. But it was
it was
a
The
TV,
Offer.
The Offer.
Yeah.
What a great, but that guy, took a chance on first of all, we're going to piss off the mafia, so we can't say the word mafia. Second of all, it's going to be a 3-hour movie. No one's going to sit through a 3-hour movie. And the third thing was, yeah, it was a best-selling book, but I mean, it's kind of like, they really took a chance doing this movie. And like you said, those balls of executives past in the industry are.
Yeah, and that was, like you said, that's back when those executives did care about story. And I'm not saying modern executives don't care about story, but back then it was really, executives were really interested in unique stories. And Robert Evans.
Right.
A lot of people take credit for that movie, but Robert Evans, he turned Paramount around by doing
Yes, he did.
a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to our audience, and maybe even Darren too, because Tom and I have seen it, but The Offer is an incredible show, and it's got great acting in it. And I thought it was one of the better shows that I'd seen when it came out. I'm like, this is one of the better shows I've seen in a while. And the actors they had portraying the actual cast members of The Godfather was kind of mind-blowing. I mean, they really had this guy that had that Al Pacino down, a young Al Pacino. And, and the guy that played, what's his name? The Godfather.
Brando.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Brando guy looked and sounded just like him. I mean, it was really incredible. I mean, it was just
your imitation of Brando.
I sound like a Brando with constipation.
The only thing I didn't like about that show was I felt the guy who played Coppola was not that he was a bad actor. It's just the way he portrayed Coppola, and I think it was the way it was written. If you know anything about Francis Coppola, he's a very take charge guy, and it's a very strong point of view. I felt like that character in that show that strong point of view didn't come across.
But he did look like him, though. That actor looked a lot like him.
But to see another point of view that focuses on Robert Evans, definitely watch The Kid Stays in the Picture. If you haven't seen it, it is beautifully done. Such a great film. I love it. I may watch it again tonight. It's just been a while since I've seen it.
Let's watch it together, man. You're in town. I see you got the Denver.
I fly out tonight. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
Tom, where are you Are you in Indiana?
I'm going to be in Indiana. I thought I would be in Indiana. Most of these people listening to this show thought I had sold my house like 6 months ago, but
all four of them.
All 4 of them, and 3 of them are on the screen. I live in Denver currently, which is the third place Darren and I have both lived in the same town, which is kind of wild. But I am planning to move to Bloomington, and I've actually I just got a letter from the dean, an email from the dean of the media school. We're going to be meeting on the 1st of August. But yeah, I'm hoping that I'll sell my house, and if not, I've made the big decision that I will keep my house staged, pack some of more stuff away, and then get a furnished apartment in Bloomington just so I can be there to, when school starts up. I won't be teaching until the spring, but I at least want to be there and, make my presence known and help out as much as I can around the media school.
That was a really long answer. Just to summarize it.
Denver.
No, it's not in Bloomington.
Well, I saw the red wall behind you. It looks very Hoosier back there.
Well, I'm going to paint it, actually. The painters come tomorrow because my real estate agent's telling me, you know what, we paint some of these rooms that are colorful because, people like boring places like Darren's. Look at that white wall in the background.
Okay, so Tom Shelly, not Tom Fry. You have your Indiana roots. You were born in Bloomington, is that right? You grew up there?
Born in Indianapolis, but then when I was like 6, moved to Bloomington. When I was little, my dad was actually in dental school. And then when he got finished with dental school, we moved to Bloomington to open his practice because he had actually gone to IU. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we picked, my parents picked Bloomington to move to.
Why did you pick Ohio State? That must have pissed off some people.
Yeah, well, when you grow up in Bloomington, I was just like, okay, I want to see some place.
See the world.
Yeah.
So I'll go to some place about an hour and a half away. That's about as comfortable as it
right.
Exactly. Some place I can drive to at least.
Exactly. Come back on the weekends.
If you had that that desire to go into film. It sounds like they had some sort of program. Indiana at the time did not have anything that was film related.
I remember I think it was between my junior and senior year in high school, I took a summer class at IU where it was kind of like a comparative literature and film class.
Right.
And so I did take a class at IU.
Yeah.
And then, Ohio State had a good film program because of the football team. So they had all this equipment that they used to use to shoot the highlight films for football. And all this equipment was sitting around most of the year. And so they decided to create a course around around. Now, since they've gone, my older daughter went to Ohio State. So I've been back there recently. And they built a brand new, beautiful facilities there. And they have a great program that combines their theater department and music department and everything. So they've
Very
got
cool.
a really nice program there now.
But what do you do when Indiana plays Ohio State? I mean, you must have some ties to IU.
It depends. If it's I kind of have to lean Ohio State, but it's tough. It is. It's tough.
I get it.
My dad was actually in the athletic department at IU. He was the team dentist for Indiana football and basketball, and he made all the mouth guards for all for all the football players. I remember as a kid, I would help him because they're all custom made. And back in those days, he had this machine that would melt the plastic, and they'd have the plaster.
Oh, and those were the worst to get made when you had to. They had to put that thing in your mouth, and it had all that plaster in it. And then
So I'd sit around at the table at night and help him make these things that like melted the plastic on this thing, and then you'd have to pull it down over that thing at the right time and flip this switch, and it would suck the air out and mold it around the teeth thing, and then you'd have to cut them out and everything. So
that sounds almost as bad as eating Tom's egg and mayonnaise delight.
It was an egg salad sandwich. Thank you very much. And I've already had an offer to do craft services on this new movie that Tom's going to be doing here, making my egg salad. So I'm doing something right. No, though, that must have been so cool, though. I mean, having your dad being close to the athletic department there. I mean, it must have been, you probably got tickets to some games. You probably got to meet some players as a kid and stuff like that. It must have been kind of cool growing up there. And
he had great seats for the basketball games. They're like right down on the floor there. And so,
oh my God, Bobby Knight.
My dad was fishing buddies with Bob Knight.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Well, Bob Knight did go to Ohio State, though, so he got that connection
he
too.
did.
Right.
So,
right.
Yep.
It's so funny that you put these connections together because years ago, I did this little series called Spotlight America, and one of the people that we had on there was a dentist from Denver, Anthony Naranja. I'm sure he's still practicing. I'm going to have to reach out to him just because I mentioned his name, but
he'll be on the next episode. Stay tuned.
He actually was like the captain of the U.S. fly fishing team for the Olympics. And believe it or not, there is a U.S. fly fishing team, but he would often go fishing with Bobby Knight. Like they were really good friends. And so
Bob Knight was a big fisherman. Big fisherman.
Yeah. Right. But I remember Bob actually had, I don't know if you remember this, but as a kid, there was some fishing show that he was on.
Yes.
I do remember.
Yeah.
Vaguely. This sounds very familiar.
Right. It's vague in my memory too, but I do vaguely recall that he had this fishing show. I don't know if it was his or he was just a regular guest on there, but I just remember watching him on TV.
Well, that's funny because my uncle lived in Indianapolis and my grandfather lived in Detroit. And he was a big Indiana fan. He retired in Bloomington. But back then, my Uncle Bill would get the videotape and would tape the IU game on WTTV, put it in the mail. My grandpa would watch it 3 days later. And I remember once I was watching it, and he's like, Uncle Bill said he put on a fishing show at the end with Bob Knight. So I said, we got to watch that.
Nice.
And I think it was called something like Fishing with Knight or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsor. And back to the show. Going back to what you guys were talking about earlier, Tom was kicked it off with talking about remakes and so forth. Do you think the way that our media has just sort of exploded, it seems to me, has just sort of exploded into a million fragments because of the internet, because of other ways of getting it out to an audience and the way that audience wants to watch TV, that's the reason that could contribute to things not getting green lighted, or with like late night TV with like Colbert, getting off the air. And again, like whatever the politics are there, kind of putting that off to the side, we know that those shows they run a deficit for sure. They don't attract the big advertising bucks the way that they used to. Not saying that that's the reason why it was canceled. Don't want to get any pushback for that. I don't know, but it definitely isn't the big moneymaker that it used to be. Do you think that that's because of the internet and the way that audiences are?
I think the internet and streaming has certainly put a huge dent in broadcast television. And the problem with broadcast television is, you've got sponsors, and you've got to keep those sponsors happy. So you're not going to do risky stuff because you don't want to risk your sponsors. Streaming doesn't have that same issue. They can be a little more edgy. I just wish streaming would continue to be a little more edgy and try new stuff. I think, if you look at the viewership of broadcast television, it's just over the past, 15, 20 years, has just gone way down. My issue is that I wish that the streamers would continue to do cool, new, edgy stuff, but it seems like they're kind of taking, there's some great stuff on streaming, but it seems like there is just this kind of reluctance to try new crazy stuff. I mean, when Survivor went on the air, there was a guy at CBS, his name's Gen Maynard, and that he put Survivor on the air, he put Amazing Race on the air, and he put Big Brother on the air. Three shows that stuff you've never seen before.
Right.
And all of those shows are still on the air 25 years later. So back in the day, there was some real risk taking, and it's just, I'm not sure why, but it's just overall across the landscape, you just don't.
Well, one of the things that blows me away, though, when we were growing up, you had the PBS station, you had the three major networks, and then maybe you had a couple other. So you had like 6 or 7 choices. So of course, Johnny Carson was going to have, these great ratings, and it was going to be a money maker, successful Tonight Show kind of a thing. And then you had in cable, maybe you had 49 channels and the 6 or 7. So then, but now, DirecTV, I've got 500 and something channels, plus you've got all the streaming services, plus you've got YouTube, and you've got other places you can watch content. Suddenly, you think that a Tonight Show would be successful, but I mean, you're not capturing 20% of the audience anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like viewership. If you look at it, when we were on our second season of Survivor, we were getting something like 30 million viewers an episode, and like Friends and things, they were getting 30, 35, million. Those kind of ratings just don't exist on broadcast.
They never will again. I mean, even like a Super Bowl doesn't even get, sometimes a Super Bowl doesn't even get a percentage, maybe not people watching, but a percentage wise, as big as something like, some big show that was, on 20 or 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, if you were a broadcast network show and you got 4 million or 7 million viewers in a night, you would be canceled the next day.
Right.
Now, that's a hit. If you've got 7 million viewers, that's a big hit. Yeah. And a lot of that, like now development, I mean, I remember working on shows where you could develop an idea on paper and sell it to the network and get a full season pickup off what you've developed on paper. And now the development process has just drug out where, the streamers or networks don't want to say yes right, they just kind of drag it out, and you keep developing and keep developing, and then maybe you do some test casting and you shoot sizzle reels, or you do a proof of concept, and it just goes on and on. There's just it's like you said, people want to be able to tell their bosses why. Nobody wants to be associated with something that didn't work, so it's easier to not pick something up because you're afraid it's not going to work. So
Right. Exactly. My God. Yeah. I feel like no one wants to say yes until there's something so solid that they can't ignore it, that they can't say no. Otherwise, they're going to lose their job.
yeah, so that when it does fail, they can say, well, it's not my fault because we had this element and this element, and we had these people involved, and it was a hit over in Europe. So it's not my fault that it failed. Something else.
Yeah.
They want to get to that point.
When you have a big company like Paramount, or you have a big, network like, ABC or NBC, and you're producing a TV show or whatever, you're going to be making money off of advertisement. You're going to be making money off of ticket sales, distribution, or whatever. But when like a show like, because I'm noticing a lot of times now when you have, you're at the Oscars and whatever, in the Emmys, some of the things that are nominated aren't just from Touchstone Pictures or whatever. They're Netflix or something like that. Now, of course, Netflix is making $20 a month for each subscriber, but how is the people who are getting the residual checks, the producers who are getting their 1%, their points? How are they actually getting, making money when they're only getting $20 a pop for Netflix subscriptions?
Yeah, I mean, look, I most of my work is in this unscripted reality television, so I'm not hugely experiencing that. But it's I from a lot of these places like the Netflixes of the world, what they're doing is paying producers a large sum up front, and then it's not so much the back end. It's because the Netflixes and everybody, they want to own the product, they want to own the film and everything. So that's kind of their model that they, from what I understand.
And again, they don't make the money off of the subscribers, the producers who are doing this. They're making money off of the licensing. So if they produce something and Netflix wants to pick it up, there's either, a buyout, a sale, if it's like exclusive content, or if it's exclusive or non-exclusive, there may be a licensing deal, or we're going to license it non-exclusively for 5 years or whatever, so we're giving you X amount of money. And that X amount can be very different. In some cases, a really likely popular thing is going to, rake in a lot, whereas something that like, we may get a few people, but we'll put it on there anyway. It's not going to,
like Darren's films,
right? Like my stuff, right?
Like his stuff that ends up on, you can see
the decimal point moves way to the left on mine. That's for sure.
Well, you can see Darren's stuff on like Amazon Prime, but Darren made like $15 and he spent it on me buying me lunch to convince me to do this podcast.
Well, and like in the world that I'm in with unscripted and everything, it's now it's the networks and the streamers and whatever, that the sort of the rule of thumb is you get a 10% producing fee, 10% of the budget, and that's kind of it. And yeah, you might have some back end points, but nobody rarely actually sees that. And they want to own it. Like I said, the whoever's distributing it wants to own the product, so you're getting that 10% fee, to produce the thing, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you don't see the back end. That's why they call it the back end.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what she said.
Okay, so I have a Bloomington question for you guys. Since did you hear recently that I don't know if you guys are pizza fans, but the Cafe Pizzeria on Kirkwood there?
Yes, it did. I actually.
Wait, what happened to it?
It closed down.
Closed.
No.
Yeah. I was there in May and I saw that it was closed down, and I actually talked to the guys next door at Nick's. I went over to Nick's and I was asking, I said, yeah, that place closed down. I mean, that place was there when my parents were in college, that place has been there forever. And they said, yeah, it's just kind of like, I think the owners just, got old and, no one offered to buy it. I mean, from what I heard, it wasn't like it burned down or, they had salmonella or something. Though I do have
no,
a friend named Charlie Manila who has a brother named Saul Manila. So he could have been involved
cool
somehow.
joke.
He is Italian, I don't
That's a
know.
cruel joke on some parents.
I
That some
know it
parents
really
are
is.
big on their kid.
Yeah, that place is gone. I mean, and it's a great location too. I mean, hopefully something cool can go in there. But man, so much history there.
I know my dad. We used to get pizza there all the time. That was my dad had his very first slice of pizza there when he was in college back in the 50s or something.
Oh my God.
His
That's
first
crazy.
ever slice of pizza, or his first slice of pizza in Bloomington?
No, ever. It was like the first time he ever had pizza.
So
he was
pizza
from,
wasn't even popular until like.
I guess not. He grew up in Elkhart, Indiana, up in northern Indiana.
And they didn't have pizza?
I guess not, or at least
What is this Italian pie?
That Italian.
That's right.
Yeah, Tom Monahan hadn't come up with the Domino's idea yet.
That's right.
I can't believe that, though. That's crazy. You would think that, I mean, I guess pizza has probably become more popular. There probably was a certain time where it became, like, because now it's like probably the most popular, food in the world.
yeah.
I mean, someone says, favorite food, pizza, it's like, your dad's like, never had it, never heard of it. Elkhart, Indiana.
He told me the story of how he and his college buddies, they went to pizzeria, had some pizza, then they went to a movie, and after the movie they were like, man, that pizza was good, and they went back to pizzeria and had another pizza after the movie.
They were probably at the Von Lee or at the Indiana, the Bloomington Theater up the street.
Exactly.
Well, one thing good about your business, though, reality TV, you don't have to worry about, the theater. Like no one's going to the theater anymore, at least except for your film coming up, hopefully. Most things are on TV, and that's what people like, to be able to watch it at home, to be able to pause it, make the popcorn, go to the bathroom, restart it again.
Yeah. And I gotta admit, I've gotten so guilty of like the short attention span thing. I used to love nothing more than going to a movie theater and sitting there and having your popcorn. Now I'm like, you know what? Do I need to go 2 blocks over to my theater? I'll just wait till it comes out.
Exactly. It's sad.
My own popcorn, and I hate that.
I love the popcorn in the theater, though. You cannot get that. You
I
can't
know.
get that flavor.
Well, yeah, for $27 a bag, it should be.
That's right.
Jesus.
That's right.
So again, back to Bloomington. You said you went to high school there too. You went to Bloomington North, is that right?
Yep. Bloomington North.
As did I. Yep.
You
Graduated
and I
84.
missed each other by like 4 years or something.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, my older brother was there, and I think he was 2 years younger than you. Don is his name. I don't know if you happen to know him. I'm
Don
trying to
Abram.
think of who else. I'm sure I had some other relatives. There's a lot of us there, or at least were at one time. But I think most of them went to South.
How about Tim Knight? Did Tim Knight go to school with you?
Tim Knight, did he? Yes. I think he was at North when I was there.
I was going to
Really?
say you're about the same age, because I knew Patrick, but Patrick was even younger than Darren. So,
or maybe it was.
No,
I think
Patrick is much younger.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Tim. Yeah. I think we were at high school at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
As well as Lee Corso's son. What was his name? David Corso, I think. I went to high school.
Yeah, because he would have been the football coach back then.
Yeah, he was the football coach and he lived in the same neighborhood, Hoosier Acres, where we lived. And so,
Hoosier Acres.
Nice. That probably was in the day that Lee Majors played for Indiana.
Did he?
Right?
I didn't know.
Majors, the Bionic Man?
Bionic Man, the 6
Dude, it wouldn't have been then. How old do you think Tom is?
I don't know. I have
Lee Majors died 20 years ago. He'd be like 90 if he were still alive.
I never knew that.
I'm certain he did.
I'm going to Google this. Wait.
Okay. Let's figure this out live while we're
Lee Majors.
I swear.
That'll be that's if that's true, that'll be a very interesting factoid, because I never knew that.
Lee Majors attended Indiana University in Bloomington on a football scholarship, but later transferred to Eastern Kentucky.
What year?
God, it was back in like the 40s or something. No. Let's see when he graduated college. Early life. Let's look it up here. Oh, he was born in Wyandotte, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. So he and I have quite a bit. He graduated high school in 57.
No.
Wow,
Okay. All right. So
A little before my
He
time.
graduated from college actually in 62.
Okay.
So I think Tom, Darren
I was
owes you
1
an
year old
apology.
then.
Darren owes you an apology. Lee Majors.
No, but still, that's it. I never knew Lee Majors played ball at IU.
And now a word from our sponsor. And back to the show.
I have okay. So, Darren, now, Tom, when did you go to Indiana? Were you to go to college?
Yeah, I graduated in 92.
Okay, so
Undergrad.
Darren, were you when Breaking Away was being filmed in Bloomington?
That was the
Were you-
70s,
were you
right?
there? Yeah, the 70s.
So I lived in Bloomington, but I don't remember it actually being filmed. I was a little kid at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, and then Tom and we kind of overlapped a little bit. I was in grad school when he was finishing up undergrad, and I was like, I don't know. I was a TA, I guess, for one of the scene design.
Yeah, it was some class that I was in, but
Yeah.
I would always see him. Like I've said before, dude, he had this old beat up Jeep, and he never had the top on, and he had this long hair, and he had this kerchief he'd wear, and he'd wear these tank tops, and he was just this good looking dude that all the girls in the theater department wooed over. And I'm like, I got to hang out with this guy, man. All the women are like flocking to his Jeep.
I promise you, I did not wear tank tops.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
That was back in the tank top days.
You wore tank tops.
I refuse to admit
I've got a
that.
picture of you with a tank top if you want me to bring it on.
There's no evidence. No.
Did you ever go swimming in any of the quarries or anything?
Oh, I wish.
Of course.
You
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Did you dive off the top one from Breaking Away?
There's one called Rooftop. Do you know it, Tom?
Mhm. Yeah.
The angled one?
I don't remember about it being angled, but I remember it was high. And I remember being off of there, and I jumped from rooftop. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Like I hit the water so hard. I'm like, I actually have a little bit of a fear of jumping into water from heights. And it all stems from that. Like I remember hitting the water so hard. I thought I pointed my feet, but it still felt like I hit cement. And who knew that water could be so hard? But man, I could barely breathe. I was just gasping for air, trying to get to the shore before I died.
And you can't see through that water. So when you're underneath there, it's like...
just the opposite. It's really clear, actually.
But it looks green when you look at
that's because the algae, the way that it reflects. But no, it's very clear. That's part of the problem and the danger with the quarries is that you see these huge rocks underneath, and you think that it's you can't tell the depth of them. Like it looks like it's 5 or 10 feet below the surface or right there, but it may
someone
be like
said you could
30
see
feet
a
below.
truck. Like if it was on a certain clear day, you could actually see like vehicles that were still parked in the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, that what I remember before Breaking Away, and this is not to turn really dark, but what I remember about the quarries was always don't go to the quarries because there were always reports about people dying because they'd go under and they'd get tangled up in the wires that were under there and everything.
Yeah, so many cables and stuff. Yeah.
Well, we used to just go out there. I mean, because Darren and I had motorcycles when we were in college, and I remember just because it's so hard because they have all these do not park on that kind of area where you can go down where the train used to go through there. So if you had a motorcycle, you could just kind of pull into this area and then drive where the train tracks used to be and go right to the quarry. But now if you were to go into town, there's no parking along there, so you're kind of screwed.
Well, I think I heard where the one that quarry where they filmed Breaking Away. I don't remember which one, Sanders Quarry or whatever it was.
Yeah,
right.
I think they've started or maybe over the years they've been filling it in.
I've heard that too.
Really,
they ought to make it a public thing. They ought to have really capitalized on it. And had lifeguards out there, little chairs.
Right after we had Angelo on, Tom did some research and found a picture of kind of behind the scenes stuff of where they're filming. And it looks like they
They
filmed.
are doing something.
Oh,
at
did
the
they?
moment.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, there was a scene or two that was done out there. Well, this is supposed to take place also when Angelo was, growing up. So
Right,
everything's
right.
all
Yeah.
the cars are from the 50s and 60s. And I don't remember what year he graduated, or was it little. Well, he was supposed to be a little kid in this movie. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the quarry would have been a big part of, growing up as a child in Bloomington, going out there, and especially during the high school years, going out there and swimming and drinking and whatever.
Yeah, I can't wait to see his film.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cool.
Did he say when's it being released? Did he say?
I can't remember, but it sounds like it's a 2026 release.
Yeah, I think it's spring or something like that. Maybe.
I would guess, if they are actually, I don't know that for sure, because it seems like they're just finishing up post right now and then probably going through the sales process. It doesn't sound like they had any pre-sales on it. So I don't know if they're going through a festival route or hoping for somebody to just, pick it up or what. But, the festival route could add on another, year on top of the release.
Yeah.
So it could be 2 years out, if it went that route.
I mean, to have made not only two of the most classic sports films, but two of the most classic films of all time. It's
Agreed. Well, what's amazing too with like people like Angelo and yourself too,
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
being able to take the time to, you're busy, you're successful, you've had this incredible body of work. You don't need to do this fucking show. This is not going to make your career, but you're willing to come on to this and spend some time to just share with, the tens of people that are listening,
But, I mean, look, we're all like I said, we're all movie geeks, and I just love to talk about.
Oh, and we've really enjoyed having you on. I mean, just one of my favorite guests you actually are. I've loved our conversations. We've had a lot of good laughs. We got to eat an egg salad sandwich together, and man.
Yeah. Tom texted me and said just now, he said he is one of our top 20 guests.
We've only had 19 episodes.
So if I go and watch all 19 episodes, this is how they all end, right?
This is how they all end. You are our best guest.
It's your script that you have. Yeah.
Tom, it has been a pleasure, and please say hello to your family. I'm miss seeing you and your wonderful wife, Lamia. I haven't seen your kids since they were in preschool.
They're all out of college now.
Yeah,
I know.
same with Darren.
As were mine. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, will you come back when this film comes out and you have the big debut? You can come back and tell us all about the red carpet.
Absolutely. Knock on wood, it actually happened. But
it will. It will. This show makes everyone's success level rise.
Perfect. Good.
Oh, that's the plan. Again, thank you, Tom. Hope to have you back. Thanks again, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Wow.
What'd you think?
That's so cool. And the thing is that I had no idea who he was or who the guest was going to be. And, here I am looking at my phone during all the stuff that he's done. And yet he's the most down to earth guy. Here we are talking about eating pizza in Bloomington. I mean, he's one of us, man.
Yeah. And to that point, it's kind of a pro and con with you not knowing who the guest is, or when you bring somebody on, me not knowing, because I love that element of surprise and really having to listen to the guest and,
Absolutely.
and be engaged in it. We don't have a chance to research. Obviously, I knew who it was going to be and I had a chance to research. I just didn't, because I never do. Why start now?
Yeah. Why do any work, dude? This is supposed to be fun. Do I really want to sit here for 2 hours and read articles and books?
Even if I did that, people know after listening to us, after 30 seconds, they know that we're not academics. So they have low expectations.
Very low. No, that is funny though. When you hear people like, certain hosts of certain talk shows or whatever, they say, oh yeah, he'll read the book before he has the guest on. It's like, dude, I don't think I've read a full book since I was in college. I ain't going to read the book for TV to come on this lousy podcast.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, that was so great having
That was great, man. Tom was great. I hope we have a chance to, I hope I get to meet the guy someday. He seems like a really cool dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ought to have a
Absolutely.
reunion in Bloomington with Angelo, Tom, you, and me. We know we won't be eating pizza.
I know. And we can't go to Mother Bear's either because
Yeah, we
Angela's not a
can.
big fan.
Oh, that's right. Angelo doesn't like Mother Bears.
Yeah, so we'll have to, I don't know, we'll have to find another place. I don't
Yeah.
know where that is.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
dude, it's
Next.
been real, as always.
Later, dude.
Tom and D.
Two middle-aged idiots.
This podcast is produced by 224 Media with voice and audio support by Fry on the Fly Productions.